Good morning. This again came up on my Google Alerts, which are an amazing thing. So I suggest that whatever topic you might be interested in, start doing some Google Alerts, and you'll be amazed what comes to you without any effort at all, and stuff that you would never ever find because it's hidden somewhere. But anyway, this is from The Big Smoke. Obviously, you can see it is an Australian company. I've never heard of these people, but they've got some pretty good content here. But something along here I thought was quite interesting. They're talking about sometimes it's not what you say, it's how you say it. And it's about framing decisions. And I was like, what do you mean framing decisions? Like a decision is a decision. Like it's either yes or no, right or wrong. But when you look at this, it shows you the psychological blackmail and trickery that they use. It's not what they say, how they present things that influences your mind. This is talking about a study that they did. So if we look at it, okay, we'll just read it. Sorry, I can't. I wish I had a pointer or something, but I don't have fancy stuff. Okay, so it says most modern world in behavioral economics can be traced back to the work of psychologist Amos Tversky and Daniel Kahneman, winner of the 2002 Nobel Memorial Prize for Economics. Think, what has economics got to do with anything? Because it's all numbers. Numbers is its own language. Okay, the pair introduced the idea of framing, the way in which a problem is presented, affecting the decision made. In these classic 1981 paper, The Framing of Decisions and the Psychological of Choice. There it is right there. I tried to find that document, I couldn't find it. The paper demonstrates the power of framing through an experiment that asked American-Canadian university students to decide on a response to a hypothetical question at the time that's relevant today. Outbreak in an unusual Asian disease. Participants were asked to imagine preparing for an outbreak expected to kill 600 people by choosing from alternative programs to combat the disease. So they once again, it's like the same with the jibby jabs. They split people into groups and they try different things to see which one works in the way they want it to work. So they're manipulating people's minds, and then they're manipulating data, and they're framing the way you interpret the data, and they're trying to get a psychological response from you to influence your decision. Okay. So the group of participants was asked to choose between A and B. Group A, 200 people will be saved. So remember, out of 600, they're talking about 600 people here. 600 people. An outbreak is going to kill 600 people. Group A, 200 will be saved. Program B. There is a third probability that 600 people will be saved and a 2/3 probability that no one will be saved. So it's either everybody dies, everybody lives, or 400 die. In the scenario, 72% of participants chose option A. So they were happy to kill 2/3 to save 1/3. See, because this here, once again, they're actually framing the same. Here you've got to do the maths. The second option B, you've got to do the maths. Option A, they're just being positive, going, whoa, 200 people are going to be saved. They're not talking about how many are going to die. So they put the emphasis on the number. So 72% of the university students chose option A. And then they did a second group of participants were to choose between C and D programs. Program C, 400 people will die, which is the complete and utter other back end. So when you go to option A, option C is just the answer. If you work it out on a mathematical thing, out of 600 people, 200 will be saved, 400 will die. So it's exactly the same information, it's just they've split it. And program D, there is a third probability that nobody will die and 2/3 probability that 600 will die. Again, the same thing. But they've changed the actual so they've got in option B the probability is that 600 people will be saved. So they're using the positive and they get 72% for that. And this one down here, there's a probability that nobody will die and 2/3 probability that 600 people will die. So they're using exactly the same information, but they're just framing it differently. They're wording it and putting it in different emphasis on certain things. And in that scenario, 78% preferred option D, which is that a third chance that nobody will die and 2/3 that everybody will die. So they chose that. Can you believe that?